immortality. Take it. It's yours. I don't know if this is going to work or not. I'm having some issues with the microphone, so hopefully this works. I just got through watching Whiplash. I think I said before in the last video that I've been reading Quentin Tarantino's book, Cinema Speculation. I'm having a lot of fun with it. I'm bringing this up for a reason. I'm having a lot of fun with it, but I've realized he's just getting really, really in-depth with a ton of movies from the 60s and 70s. I wasn't even born then, and most of the movies that he's talking about, I haven't seen. I enjoy how in-depth he's getting. I enjoy the things that he's saying, and when he talks about something that I do know, it's I get more involved with it. And I realize that until now, I haven't done any reviews on anything that breached the 2000s. And I thought, are there people watching this going, why doesn't he review something I've seen or that I know or something newer than, Easy Rider from the 69? So I decided to find something on the poster and in the book that breached the 2000s. And Whiplash was made in 2014. So hopefully I don't lose too many people with making reviews of movies that are too old. So a couple of video disclaimers I keep forgetting to do. That now I have a reminder. These are completely unedited. So if my dog comes over and starts messing with me, if he starts barking, or if I drop the poster like I did in one of these videos, you will see everything unedited and unfiltered. I do not hold back on what I have to say. So if you have children in the room and you don't want them to hear certain 4-letter words, you might want to put your headphones on. And spoilers will happen, absolutely. So what I'm doing is putting a list of movies at the bottom here that you can look at and see which movies I give spoilers, which movies I just quote, and which movies I simply just mention. So anything that's under the spoiler category, if you haven't seen it, you might want to skip this movie, or if you don't care about spoilers, then, or excuse me, you might want to skip this review, but if you don't care about spoilers, then, it doesn't matter. I don't know how many people who have seen Whiplash or haven't seen Whiplash. There's not a whole lot of spoilers to give away. Maybe there is. I mean, obviously, if you haven't seen it, then I'm giving away a lot of stuff. So let's get right into it. I did do the book. Whiplash, year release 2014, aspect ratio 2.39:1, running time an hour 46 minutes, genre drama, rated R, starring J.K. Simmons, Miles Teller, and I didn't write it down, but Paul Reiser. I was pleasantly surprised to see him. Directed by Damien Chazelle. I'm hoping that's how you pronounce your name. I am sorry if it's not. Chazelle. Produced by Jason Blum. This is a Blumhouse. This is one of the few non-horror Blumhouse films that come to my mind. I was like, wow, I was shocked to see Jason Blum. There's a whole bunch of producers on there, but that's the one that stuck out. Written by Damien Chazelle. Again, music by Justin Harwitz. I was a little like, who? The music almost sounds like a compilation of a bunch of things. I don't think there's an actual like soundtrack like you would think Braveheart or something like that. Like you would think Jurassic Park, or there's a soundtrack that Lord of the Rings. I mean that Howard Shore is just amazing. I don't think there's a soundtrack. I think somebody put together a bunch of really great jazz music to carry you through the story, which is great because I mean this is all about jazz. Oh, I forgot to mention the category in the book is challenge number 43, set in a college. Now the school that they're at is not real. Schaefer Conservatory is not a real school, but you can see, or you can get kind of like, because it's set in New York and it's a music elite kind of school, you can kind of draw similarities to Juilliard, even though Juilliard is more than just music. And Juilliard, from what I see, is considered a college. So I figured, okay, I can call this, a college, even though it's not like your typical college type movie, like like Dead Poets Society or plenty of others. With honors or anything like that, school ties. Academy or awards received. I wrote down the Academy Awards received: Best Sound Editing, Best Film Editing, and Best Supporting Actor. J.K. Simmons is phenomenal in this movie. Like, this movie was made for him, or he was made for it, or it just one of those a performance of a lifetime. I remember, I'm looking at my Oscar list. I remember this year when the Oscars came out and I heard that he was nominated. Now, I've been watching him for a long time, since what is that great Christmas music that or a Christmas, The Ref. The Ref. I remember him in The Ref. He plays a small part, but I mean, I've been watching him forever. He was in that, and he was in The Jackal. Both smaller parts. He had lines, yes, and he was a character, but both smaller parts. I've been watching him forever. I love him. J.K. Simmons is great, but I never really thought of him as I never really thought of him as a leading man. Or like, this character is amazing. When he did Spider-Man, and he was the head of the paper or whatnot, you can see glimpses of how this character really came to be, although that's very comical and satirical, and this is very serious. But wow, for him to finally get an Academy Award, and especially for this, bravo. So I'm looking up the list just to see who he was up against. Supporting role: Robert Duvall in The Judge, Ethan Hawke in Boyhood, Edward Norton in Birdman, and Mark Ruffalo in Foxcatcher. Okay, so unfortunately, I've only seen one of those films, Foxcatcher. I loved it. I don't think the level of character J.K. Simmons had in this was, in my opinion, far beyond Mark Ruffalo's character in Foxcatcher. Even though Mark Ruffalo's playing a real character, a real person, it's a true story. I still think that the level of character that he had to put into, J.K. Simmons had to put into this role is far beyond that. I unfortunately haven't seen the other three, although I hear the Birdman is excellent. Actually, I hear Boyhood is really, really good as well. I haven't heard much about The Judge, Robert Duvall. Eventually, I'll watch those. I did want to clarify, I know I said it in another video, but my Academy Award list, I said, I have like the top 10 of every year since the year I was born until now, and my goal was to eventually watch everything, not... I didn't mean like watch everything, in succession. What I do is I print out a year, and then like the 87th, 2014, just because I'm on that page, I'll print that out and I'll go through all the movies and then decide if I agree with all of these. And I'm trying to do every year. And so far, I've done 21, 22, and then I've done, I think, 81, which is the year I was born, and I want to do more. I know there's a lot of movies in these years that I've seen, but I want to go through and just go through all of them, like maybe a month or two at a time, take a year, 1982, and go through it. I just wanted to clarify that. I didn't want you to think I'm trying to watch all these movies in one year. That'd be ridiculous. Why did I choose this particular film? It's on the poster. I saw it once a while ago, and I was so shocked by it, and I wasn't sure whether I liked it. I literally talked to my friend, and it's like the friend of mine, David, that told me to start this YouTube. I was like, I don't know if I liked it. I was so shocked and like, I'm not sure. I got to watch it again to figure out, did I like it? Did I not like it? I definitely like it, and I should own it. I don't own it. I watched it on streaming. Would you recommend this film? Oh, that's a hard one. I would recommend it to certain people. This movie, there's a lot you have to get past. It's like American History X. There's a lot there's a lot you have to get past. If you can't get past it, you shouldn't watch it. The language, the abuse, all of that. If you can't get past that and watch it for the piece of art that it is, and the acting and the story, then no, I wouldn't recommend it to everybody. But it is. I think it's very, very well made. The date the challenge completed tonight, I finished it June 22nd. I gave it a 4-star rating, 4 out of 5. Which character were you able to identify with or connect with? Andrew, the main character played by Miles Teller. I've never been a huge Miles Teller fan. He wasn't really on my radar. I could give or take, but once I saw him in what did I see him in that really brought, I'm going to look him up. There was something I saw him in. It wasn't Top Gun, because I saw that. So Miles Teller, I thought I saw him in something before that brought him to my attention. Because, a lot of times I watch people. Oh, that's what it was. So a lot of times I watch people and I might not necessarily know your name, but I pay attention to you already, like J.K. Simmons. When I first saw him in The Ref and the Jackal, maybe I didn't know what his name was. I probably didn't. But I paid attention to him and his face and his acting. And at one point he did something that made me, oh, that's J.K. I think maybe it was Spider-Man. And I went, J.K. Simmons. And then my mind remembered his name, and from then on I paid attention. I always paid attention to him. But then the name pops in my mind, and I can I start referencing him in other things. So Miles, I had seen him back when he did the Fantastic Four. No idea, no clue what his name was. I only saw one of the Divergent films, and I don't think he was in the first one. And a lot of this I have not seen that he's been in. So he wasn't really on my radar until I saw Spiderhead. And then I was like, who is this guy? He's really good in that. If you haven't seen it, it's on Netflix with him and Chris Hemsworth. It's twisted. And it's really good. And that's when I took notice and remembered his name, Miles Teller. I was like, oh, okay, I like him. And then when Top Gun came out, I was like, oh, that's Miles Teller. And from Spiderhead, because I think I saw Spiderhead first. I'm pretty sure I saw Spiderhead first. And then, Top Gun was fantastic. And so then I was like, what else is he in? What else is he in? And then I saw that he was in Whiplash and was like, oh, I always meant to watch Whiplash because J.K. Simmons, someone I really liked, won the Academy Award for it. And that's when I finally went back and watched it. So it was thanks to Miles Teller and J.K. Simmons that I finally watched this film. And whoa. So anyway, what character do you identify with? I went off on a little tangent about the actor, but about the character in the film, Andrew. The reason why I identify with him, not because I'm a musician. I played the viola when I was a little kid for a few years. I sang. I still do sing. I have some trauma around that maybe I'll bring up later because it's relevant to, a teacher screaming at me. So it's sort of relevant to this film. So I'm not as confident with my singing, although I do sing. I identify with him not because I'm a musician or because I've ever really been a musician, because I haven't. I identify with him because I believe I was born to do something, and I think he does too, and from an early age. I believe I was born to be an actor, and every time I'm on stage and disappear into a role, and people come up to me and tell me, anyway, I watch a lot of YouTube videos, and recently I saw one, and an actor said, and I can't remember, I wish I could remember which video it was. I tried to go through my history and find out which video it was, but an actor said, acting is one of those arts. A painter can pick up a brush and paint on a canvas anywhere, on the wall. A musician, as long as they have their instrument, can play. A singer can sing at any time, any day. acting is one of those challenging, creative artist things that you can't do alone. You can't just, you can go on the street corner and start spouting Shakespeare, but who's going to listen to you? Nobody's going to take you serious. You need other people. You can't do it alone. And it's not just about having somebody with you in a scene, in a one-on-one scene. It's about there's way more to being an actor and actually putting on something quality. I'm sorry, all this self-taping, audition stuff, I think it's ridiculous. I honestly think it's ridiculous because you cannot really get a true test of somebody's acting ability when they're trying to worry about filming themselves. Some people can do that. Some people can't. And Hollywood is missing out on a lot of great actors because that's not the way you test someone's ability to act. Bring them in for an audition, an actual audition. See them do something. But like I said, it's hard for an actor to really broadcast their talent because you need someone else. I can't just do this and somebody goes, oh yeah, he's a great actor. So I do identify with this character in a way because I feel like I was meant for something, and one of these days someone will believe in me and I'll be able to show that I really am an actor and was born to do that. Best line or memorable quote. There are no two words in the English language more harmful than good job. I have more to say about that scene, but that's J.K. Simmons again. Did I attend college? Did this film resemble your college life? I did not attend college, so it did not resemble my college life. Would you attend this college? Would you? No. Would you attend this college? Why or why not? Not only is the college fake, but I'm not a musician. So no, I would not attend that. Although, I'm not trying to say Juilliard and this college are the same. I'm saying there are similarities. I'm not trying to say Juilliard has teachers like this. This is just a movie. It's just a story. But a lot of people equate, this style of college in this film with Juilliard, and absolutely I would attend Juilliard if I had a chance. If I got the opportunity, I would beg, borrow, and steal to act in or study at Juilliard. I'm a little worried about what they would teach. My style of acting, I'm not going to go into that. Anything else you'd like to say about this? J.K. Simmons, man. J.K. Simmons. At the bottom of it says 3 different colleges were used to create Grand Lakes University and Back to School 1986. Back to School. I saw that once. I don't really remember it. So that's enough for the book. I do have notes. I already talked about some of them, which is good. So, like I said before, I have only seen this movie twice. This is the second time I've seen it, and I don't own this movie. And I did want to kind of see something I didn't really know or own, and really get a sense of it again. And like I said, I told a friend of mine, I wasn't sure whether I liked that or not. I need to see it again. And then after watching this, this second time, I went, yeah, I really like this movie. There's a lot about this movie that's well done. Okay, hold on. Oh, yeah. So this, the way it opens, there's this brilliant, literally, it's just 2 minutes in the beginning. Okay, let's take out the minute and a half or so, maybe it's 2 minutes, of Miles Teller just playing. Now, I heard, and I think after the first time I watched this, I did a little research and found out that Miles Teller did do a lot of his own playing in this. Now, whether what you hear and what you see is the same, I doubt. But he did a lot of the filming where he's playing. Anyway, let's take out the first minute and a half, 2 minutes of the movie where literally you're just in a hallway watching him play. But then When the camera starts moving forward, you have no idea. Okay, then hit the timer. So that first 2 minutes, when the camera first starts moving, that first 2 minutes really like tells you everything you need to know about this movie. Just about. That brilliant first 2 minutes. It's rare nowadays where you get a scene in the beginning of the film like that, literally a 2-minute clip in the beginning of the film that sets up the entire movie, that sums up and sets up the entire movie. And it's brilliant. I love it. That first interaction between that first interaction between Fletcher, J.K. Simmons's character, and Andrew, or he keeps calling him Neiman by his last name, Miles's character. That first interaction is just hilarious, and you can see all over. This goes into a note that I wrote later. When I first watched this, I thought this movie was about. I thought this was like a lot of college films that I've seen, like Dead Poet Society or School Ties. I thought after first watching this movie is about an abusive composer, an abusive teacher, instructor at a school, and the kid who has to kind of survive it and overcome it. Because to a degree, that's what those other movies are about. To a degree, they have other themes, bigger other themes in there, but to a degree, that theme is relevant in those other in a lot of college films. And I thought that the first time through, that's what this was about, and I realized this time that's not what this film is about. This film is about creating the next great drummer. And Andrew Neiman is never going to be that great drummer if he continues to be the kid we saw in the beginning, in the first 2 minutes. That shy, closed off, can't say anything. This goes into another note of mine. After that first 2 minutes, he goes to dinner or to the movies with his dad, and his dad like motions for him to put like raisinets in the popcorn, and he puts the raisinets in the popcorn, and then he doesn't want it, and Andrew doesn't want any. And the dad's like, what did he say? I don't understand you. Why? He says, oh, I don't like it like that. I just eat around the raisinette. Why wouldn't you say something? How old are you? You can't tell your dad I don't want raisinets in the popcorn, or let me get my own popcorn or something. Stick up for yourself, dude. Like, be an adult. And if Andrew continues to be the person we see in that first 2 minutes, that whipped dog, shy, like searching for approval, we would never get the drummer, the great drummer he becomes. Never. We would never. And that first 2 minutes just sets everything up because of the dichotomy between the two, the drummer and the composer. And I love it. I love that first 2 minutes. It's great. Yeah. After that scene, I totally feel like you watch that scene and that quick little interaction, and then Fletcher walks out, and you're just like, what the fuck? What was that? And I literally feel like that at the end of the film, like, what the fuck? So it really, like I said, it sums up everything. So the first interaction after that, the first interaction where Andrew is practicing with his band at the school, and then Fletcher comes in. It's the first time Fletcher comes in, because the first time he's rehearsing with the band, they just see him at the door, and that's no big deal, fine, whatever. But when Fletcher first comes in and interrupts the band, just before that, what happened? Pay attention, pay real close attention. His instructor gets fed up with Andrew Neiman. I'm saying that right? It is Andrew. Yeah, Andrew Neiman. So he's fed up with he gets frustrated with whatever Andrew is playing because Andrew has been really working. They show these clips of him working on his timing, his double time, and maybe that's still in his head, and maybe he's not playing quite right. Who knows? But the conductor, his conductor, who's conducting him, gets fed up with him and says, "Let the other guy play," and the other guy's like, "What the fuck are you doing?" So Andrew's like browbeaten, defeated, like, shit, what am I doing? I guess. And then Fletcher comes in and interrupts everything. And it's great because you have that right there in the beginning, and he's like beaten and defeated and blah blah blah. Then Fletcher goes through the band and checks everybody. Nope. Moving on. Is it you? Are you first? Are you first just because you're pretty? Yep. You have no talent, blah, blah, blah. He goes through everybody. He even goes through the two drummers. And then he turns and walks and he says, "The drummer with me." And there's no, the other one. He picks out of everybody there, Andrew. And then he tells him, "Meet me tomorrow, 6 a.m. Don't be late." What? Like, insane validation. Like, not only is that scene like amazing, like, you get that first like dichotomy of like, this is the elite guy who's coming in to listen to you play, and he's picking somebody, and everybody wants to be in his band because he is the elite composer at an elite school. Like, he is the best of the best, basically, and you want to be instructed by him because that means you are the best of the best. And so when he walks in, you see the whole attitude in the room changes. And then he goes through his thing and he picks Andrew, the one that was just quote unquote fucking up the other song. They got replaced by the other drummer. And what validation! Like, what, when he goes back to like his seat after he gets picked, when he goes kind of back to his seat, you can see everybody's like attitude is like, especially the other drummer, like what a wonderful, like, getting the wind knocked out of you. Like, what just happened? It's great. I love that scene. That's a really good scene. And then the next morning when he shows up, when he's late, okay, one thing I can't understand. How can you be late? One, when this is something you've wanted for how long? This is something you dream of being, like, this is why you're here at the school, and then you're late? How does that even happen? Most people, like the night before Christmas, you're so wired up you couldn't even sleep. There's no way you could be late. Anyway, taking that out of it, his inability to show up on time, take that out of it. He shows up and nobody's there. Then he looks at the schedule, and the schedule says 9 a.m. is the first thing in that room. So then he waits hours for them to show up. And Fletcher isn't upset. He says, "We got a new guy." I can't figure out why. Was he late? Because Fletcher clearly said 6 a.m. Meet me at 6 a.m. Don't be late. Did Fletcher want time with him alone before? But he didn't seem upset. So I can't figure that out. If you figured that out, let me know. Like, was he really late? Was he not late? Did Fletcher, is Fletcher just fucking with him? Not that early. I don't understand why Fletcher would fuck with him that early. Or did Fletcher just, like, forgive the fact that he was late? I can't understand that. I'm not going to get hung up on that. Just before, so they have their first little interaction. He throws the guy out because he didn't know that the other guy was out of tune, blah, 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 whatever. So they go through that first quick interaction at Fletcher's band, and you notice right away the level has changed. He has gone up. He is not in the other instructor's band anymore. He is now in Fletcher's band, jazz or studio band. You are now in a completely different level. The expectation is different. The consequences are higher, a lot higher, and you finally get a real glimpse of the nastiness of Fletcher. And then you'd break. He says, take 5. We'll come back and we'll have Andrew play. Neiman, we'll have Andrew play Neiman. And and that first interaction, I keep saying that. Stop saying first interaction. So then he goes up to Andrew just before they come back from taking 5 or taking 10. Taking 5 or taking 10. Just before they come back, Fletcher has this little aside with Neiman, Andrew. And you see a whole completely different, real side to Fletcher. And he's conversational and he's nice, and you're like, wait, this is not the Fletcher that I've already seen. The Fletcher I already seen is very commanding and very exacting and hard ass and abusive. Not as abusive as he becomes, but still, you've seen it. You've seen him be that. And then all of a sudden, here's this like really tender, really nice like chit chat, like just before he brings Neiman in, Andrew Neiman, and he tells him the story, a quick, not the whole story. He tells him a quick, about how Bird became Bird by getting a symbol thrown at him during, he wouldn't have become Bird if he hadn't had the symbol thrown at him during a concert or whatever it was. He doesn't tell him the whole story, but he says that. He is basically telling Andrew Neiman, I keep saying it, he is basically telling Neiman right then and there, I'm going to throw a symbol at you. And you either have to become Bird or walk out like I just kicked out the other guy. He is subtextually telling Andrew, here's where you get on the hot seat, buddy. He's being nice about it, but he's telling him, this is it. The stakes are higher. I'm going to throw a symbol at you because I believe you're Bird. And if you don't and you can either become Bird or not. And those of you who don't know who Bird is, Charlie Parker, he's a very, very famous jazz musician. I'm not a huge jazz fan. I do like jazz. I'm more of a blues fan, rock and roll, blues, all kinds of stuff. But I lean towards blues. I did like the music in this. The music is fun. I like it, but I'm more of a blues fan. Anyway, Charlie Parker, his pseudonym or whatever, his name in the jazz world was Bird, and a very, very famous musician. So, and in that same interaction, when he basically tells, he's saying, you're either going to become Bird or you're not, or you're going to walk out. And then he tells him, you're here for a reason. I picked you for a reason. So subtextually, he's telling you, I believe you're the next Bird. You either become it or you don't. I believe that you're the next great. You either become it or you don't. So that interaction, you got to watch that and pay attention to all the subtext. One, he's saying, here's where the gauntlet is going to get thrown down. The stakes are higher. I am going to throw a symbol at your head. You either become the next great or you don't. He's telling him all this. Then he tells him, do you believe that you belong here? And Andrew says, yeah. He says, say it. And he says, I believe basically he says, I believe I belong here. I don't believe him. And this is a good example of Miles Teller doing a great job, because I'm not supposed to believe him, because that's not the Andrew at the end of the film. This is still the Andrew in the beginning of the film who's still seeking approval and playing his heart out and trying the best he can, but not really believing in himself. And right then and there, he's not who he needs to be yet. And it's great. And then they go into rehearsal, and it's insane, and it's crazy. I already said that. And you get that first glimpse of how amazing this conductor is, this guy. What he hears is beyond me. How he can stop, nope, you're not with me, nope. And literally after 2-3 bars, nope, not with me. Are you dragging, or are you speeding? You know, are you above tempo or are you below tempo? How he hears that in that quick of a, how he knows whether you're good in that, in a bar or two, like how it's beyond me. It's another level of like, what you were born to do, what you hear, what you see. You know, it goes back to a story I told about Matt Damon going to the set of Gone Girl. You know, David Fincher, what you see must be on a completely other level. I heard stories about Kubrick literally creating models when he was making The Shining, creating models of every little and where he wanted the light, every little thing, and he would spend hours and hours and go back and to these little models of the scenes that he was going to shoot, so that literally when he showed up to shoot, he knew exactly where he wanted everything, and it worked perfectly. So, you know, some people are just on a next level of seeing something and hearing something. And this character, man, Fletcher, is on a whole other level of hearing what on the levels of hearing, and that's why he's considered one of the greats. And that's why he's teaching where he's at. That first date with Andrew and that girl, what was her name? Nicole. Not because I remember it, because I can visually see it in his phone, Nicole. Anyway, so that first date is so awkward, and I love it, and it almost like stops, and I'm wondering why. They're two polar opposite. You can see that Andrew Neiman has a path that he is on and wants to be on, and something he wants to accomplish, and she's kind of like, I don't know, I'm doing it for now, I'm in college, I just don't know what I want to do, and it really like brings the date to a dead end. And I wonder why they didn't both realize that right now we're not right for each other. The first time I saw that, I don't know if I recognized that, but this time through I was like, how do they not know they're not right for each other after that first date? That really awkward, like abruptness to the you know, a dead end to the date almost. Oh, the first competition. So at the first competition, they play, I didn't catch, you know, I would love to watch this movie over and over and over and catch more, but I feel like I'm missing, there's got to be stuff missing in there that, in between, you know, that first date and the first competition, there's got to be stuff I must have missed that would be nice to find in later viewings. But anyway, that first competition, the folder that disappears, the music, after Fletcher just says, you know, I swear if I find another one of these, you know, anywhere. Anyway, the folder that goes missing, was it Fletcher who took it? Because literally, he had just said, don't let me catch these lying around. And the first song they play, they go on stage and they play. You can see he's irritated with the other drummer. Tanner, I believe it is, right? The other drummer, Tanner, yeah, Nate Lang. You can see that Fletcher's irritated with him, so there's something wrong. I think he talked about, just before they went on, he talked about the band's tempo, stay on tempo, which is one of the drummer's jobs, anyway, to stay on tempo. And didn't he say that the kit was out of tune? I think he said that, referring to the drums. I think he said that. So you see in that first song that they play, he's already irritated with Tanner. He gives him a look. He's irritated. So then I wonder, literally right after that, they're taking a break. Tanner gives Andrew, the folder. Andrew puts it down. Neiman puts it down. He gets a soda and literally turns around and it's gone. And it never comes to light who took it. And I wonder if Fletcher was watching and if Fletcher took it because he wanted to get rid of Tanner. And he wanted to put Andrew on the spot to see if he would rise to the occasion. He does, because he knows the piece by heart. I wonder if that was Fletcher doing that. They never say who took that folder. And when Andrew and right when he tells him, Tanner says, I need the music. I can't do it without the music. And Andrew Neiman says, I can do it. And Fletcher's like, you memorized the whole thing? He said, yes, I did. I have so much anxiety. I have so much anxiety when they go on. Does he really know it? Is he going to mess this up? Oh my God. And I'm just like, literally, I was like, the whole time, like, he's doing okay? Is he doing okay? I was just like, it's such a great scene. Like, I memorize it. Really? Do you? Okay, let's see it. Let's put it to the test. And he does. He does a great scene. I just, oh my God. It's so, I'm so full of anxiety at that point. The dinner scene is so fucked up. Oh, the dinner scene with his family. Where the family's talking, oh yeah, and Andrew's still doing his drumming thing. They totally dismiss Andrew's passion, which is sad. If you're a family and you love each other and you support each other, even if you want to pick up fucking dog shit for the rest of your life, like that's your passion, why wouldn't you try to nourish somebody's passion, your child, your nephew, your family? It doesn't matter what family it is. It doesn't matter what you want to do. You want to be a janitor? My mom's a janitor. Like, she was a truck driver. She was a janitor. My dad was a mechanic. My dad was, it's so disheartening to see his family treat him like nothing. And as a viewer, I think it's fucked up, and I'm watching, I'm fucked up. But it does show, there's a point to that scene, and I really like it. Andrew is missing the fact that he tries to defend himself saying, Bird or Parker, Charlie Parker, Bird, everybody knows him even though he died in his 30s. Everybody knows who he is in the music world, in the jazz world. I mean, he's like, Jack Nicholson in the acting world. And he's like, I would rather, one of his lines is basically, I would rather die young and have people remember me than die old and have no one remember me, is basically what he's saying. And he gets frustrated and upset that they don't think that what he's doing is valid, or they like the other two boys and what they're doing, football and politics or something. And Andrew gets upset and walks out. What I don't understand is Andrew's missing something huge. Andrew Neiman, he's missing something huge. Bird didn't go around caring what his friends or his family thought about what he did. He just did what he did. Now, I don't know Bird personally, but I feel like there's no way he sat around and worried that he's not getting enough validation from his family, or getting validation from his peers, or getting validation from, his instructor. He went out to be the best that he could be, because I'm sure he believed that's what he was meant to do. And like I said in the beginning of this film, the Andrew that he is there will never be a great. And this is one of the turning points where he walks away and starts to realize that it's not about your family's acceptance of you. You've got to do it for you. You've got to do it because you know that that's who you are and that's what you were meant to do. And I like this scene because I think that is a turning point. I don't think I got that the first time I watched it, but I get that's a turning point for Andrew. Oh, right after that. So Fletcher announces we got a new song, and then when everybody's leaving, learn the new song. We'll get back together in a couple of hours. We'll go through it. Everybody's leaving, and he stops Andrew. He stops Andrew Neiman. And he says, notice the tempo. And the tempo is really, really high. It's quick. It's fast. And he says, this is what you were working on when I first saw you. Subtextually, he constantly tells him, I'm doing this. I'm fucking with you on purpose. I'm fucking with you on purpose. Subtextually, he constantly reminds Andrew Neiman, I'm fucking with you on purpose. You need to rise to the occasion or get the fuck out of here. He constantly does it. And this is another example of it. He says, this is what you were working on when I first saw you. Remember? Oh, and I got somebody else who was working on it too, so I'm bringing him in. And here comes his old drumming rival. And it's on purpose. And you can see right away Andrew is like upset and frustrated right away. That's what he wants. Rise to the occasion. If you don't believe that you are the next great drummer, you never will be. And that part where he brings him in and watch it, because Andrew starts off, nope, let's give him a try. He puts Connolly on them. He says, let's give Connolly a try. And Connolly doesn't have his sticks, so he takes Andrew's sticks, and you can see on Andrew's face, like, what the fuck? These are my, what the fuck? And you see in J.K. Simmons' face, Fletcher's face, that little smirk, that just watch it. You see that this I'm doing this on purpose. This is exactly what I want. I'm doing this on purpose. This is exactly what I want. And you see it on his face in that moment when he asks for the sticks and it goes back to Fletcher. Watch his face. You see it in that moment. And then he's like, oh, yep, that's what I needed. You know, Connolly's great. And Andrew Neiman's like, that shit? Are you serious? Like that. He knows it was wrong. Okay, remember back in the beginning in the beginning of the film when he got rid of that trombone player, slide trombone player, and he accused him of being out of tune, and the guy didn't know whether he was or wasn't out of tune, and he says, for the record, he wasn't out of tune, he just didn't know he was out of tune, and that's just as bad. So for this scene to reflect on that, where Andrew knows, are you serious? Andrew Neiman's like, Connolly didn't do better than me. Are you serious? That's crap. And you're trying to say that's what you want? No. So right there, you all these little turning points, you see, he starts to get his confidence. He starts to get it. You don't know, what are you listening to? That guy's shit. So I mean, all these little turning points, and then literally right after that, the breakup. Like I said, that first date was so awkward. Why didn't you know that you weren't supposed to be together? I love whoever wrote that scene. That's brilliant. Did he write? Did Chazelle write everything? I'm assuming he's the only person that's credited as a writer. So I'm assuming he wrote the whole thing. And you know what? That scene is great. And Miles does such a great job with that scene. It's so brilliant. I love how he is so cut off and like, yeah, if we stay together, I won't be able to be the great drummer that I know that I am. And she's like, the only thing I think is missing is, honestly, and maybe this doesn't belong in the dialogue. I think it belongs in the dialogue, but maybe it's forcing the idea. But I feel like he should have been like, anybody would. It's not about you. It really isn't about her personally. Although I don't believe they belong together because of that first date. Just you can tell they're on completely different paths, which is, some people some people, that's fine. But I don't believe in this movie that they belong together. Anyway, I would have put in the dialogue that he should have said, anybody would stop me from becoming, it's not about you. It's about, I am here to become what I'm here to become. It's not about you. You're a distraction. Having a girlfriend, period, is a distraction. And I'm going towards something. Schwarzenegger said about, he said in Pumping Iron, he talks about when his dad passed, excuse me, before that, when he talked about I have to focus. We're a couple of months before competition. If somebody stole my car outside, I would just laugh about it and then have my secretary call the insurance company. I can't be bothered with it. And that's exactly what this is basically. Andrew is telling her in a different way. And I wish that he would have really told her it has nothing to do with you. And it could be anybody. It doesn't matter who you are. I don't care if you're, Helena Troy. I don't care if you're, it doesn't matter. Yes, you would stop me from becoming the great. You would. But anyway, aside from that, I love that scene. I think that scene's just perfectly done. Just perfectly done. Fletcher's former student. Oh, yeah. So throughout the film, up until this point, it's not the longest film in the world. So, and a large chunks of it are taken up by music. So there's not a whole lot of dialogue and expository, but there are beautiful scenes where you see the real Fletcher as a human being. He puts on a face and a persona and a caricature when he's your instructor and your teacher. Absolutely. He has to be that person, because if he's not that person, he will not push you to become the person he knows you are. But when he's faced with real life, you see those little tender, great moments. That first moment with Andrew, the moment with at the first competition. I think it was at the first competition where he talks to the little girl and says, "Come play in my band." And then this part where he finds out his former student died. And he plays the music for them, and he's crying. There are moments you see the real human being that Fletcher is. He's not a monster. He puts that monster on in front of the students on purpose. And it's for a reason. Excuse me. And later on, he says what that reason is. But I love that scene where you get to see that real rawness of him, and J.K. Simmons gets to do more than just yell and scream at people. I love that little part. It's sad. His former student died, yes, but what a great character to be able to play, and all those little things. It's unfortunate there's only a few of those little human being pieces, but it is. It is great. It is great. I already talked about that. So, when he finally earns his part, when he finally earns his right to play Caravan, it's all been a setup. It's all been a setup. And that entire night, the hours of going back and forth and between the three drummers, and that's it, and everybody else is waiting. Everything up until this point, has been set up by Fletcher. And that scene where he's just screaming at them and trying to get the right person to be on the drums. He's pushing him and pushing him and pushing him. And it's such a great scene. It's so off the hook. It's crazy. We're throwing shit around. But it's all being very calculating on Fletcher's point. You know this. You know this before he talks about it later. He does. But you get it's all calculating. It's his way of pushing Neiman to becoming that person that he knows he can be. And will he or will he not? He can be, but will he or will he not? I already talked about that. That competition where that big competition, this all comes down to that big competition where Andrew totally fucks up. The bus breaks down. He can't get there in time. He rents a car. He leaves his drumming sticks at the car rental place. He gets there late. All this stuff, and then he ends up getting in a major car accident and then still going on and then fucking everything up still. That whole sequence is like, it's hard to tear away from. It's hard to think. It's just so intense and so insane. It's hard to tear away from and really like see the art in it. You're so caught up in it, and it's so well done. You're so caught up in it that it's hard to like take yourself away and see, well, what are the little pieces I'm seeing? Is Fletcher still calculating at that point? Or is he just pissed off that as great as Neiman is, he can't fucking show up on time? Figure it out. And we as the audience, are we thinking that Fletcher's just a piece of shit? That why doesn't he understand that he tried to get there, that the bus breaking down wasn't his fault, leaving the drumsticks at the car rental place wasn't his fault, getting hit by a truck wasn't his fault? It's hard to know what the director was thinking, how we were supposed to feel, what we want to feel. It's hard to know whether Fletcher was still pushing him or just fed up and pissed off. I do know that Andrew should have taken the right path, and he didn't. The right path would have been circumstances more or less fucked me over, and I should not be doing what I know I can't do. Know your limits. That doesn't mean he's not a great, and that doesn't mean he won't continue in the band. It's just I don't know. It's hard to know. I mean, the movie goes one way, and you got to go with the flow of the movie. And then he gets expelled. He obviously thinks about quitting. He basically did quit. And then he runs into Fletcher in the bar. After he gets Fletcher dismissed. Fired. Andrew gets dismissed. Andrew Neiman gets dismissed. Fletcher gets fired. Because Andrew talks to a lawyer and tells her, everything she wants to hear about Fletcher being abusive. And then after that, like I said, the bar scene. So that bar scene is really good. You get to see that human side of Fletcher again. You get to see him playing and loving the music. Until now, you never get to see him loving the music, because all you see is that character he puts on in front of his students. And that bar scene, you finally get to see him playing the piano, and he loves the music. And that's another one of those really nice little scenes, human scenes, to see Fletcher, basically human. And he sits down and tells Andrew about the whole story about Charlie Parker / Bird getting the cymbal thrown at him and then going home and practicing like hell because he never wanted to be embarrassed like that again. I think I looked it up, and that's not exactly how it went. But for the story, I love that is the story for this movie. I don't care whether it's real or not. This is a movie. This is not real. The college they're at, that's not real. These aren't real people. And even if it was, like Braveheart, did they get things wrong? They probably did get things wrong. I researched it and found out that the princess in Braveheart. Okay, so another spoiler. Spoiler. So I researched after I did my video, found out that the princess, because I was like, did the princess have his baby? And found out that the princess was like 12 or 13 years old and was never even in England until after William Wallace was executed. So there's no way she could have had sex with him. There's no way she could have had his baby, blah, 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 blah. So I don't care. It's a movie. Did they tell the basic story of William Wallace? Yes. So this, again, I don't care. It's just a movie. For the purpose of this movie, the way Fletcher tells the story of Charlie Parker, we're supposed to believe that in this world, that's what happened to Charlie Parker, because Andrew agrees with it. So in this world of Whiplash, We are supposed to believe that Charlie Parker got a cymbal thrown at him during one of his concerts, got so embarrassed and frustrated, and went home and worked his ass off to become one of the best players in the world, and that's what he became. And Fletcher tells Andrew, this is what my whole life has been about. Finding the next great. And I'm not going to apologize for how I went about finding the next great. Now, we as the audience, we can either agree with him or disagree with him. It doesn't matter. As the filmmaker, the film is being made based on, yes, on everything that Fletcher did, created the next great. And we're getting to that. But the bar scene is great because he finally tells Andrew, this is what I was doing the whole time and I'm not going to apologize. He tells him he got fired. And I pushed people and I never found the next great. But that's what I did. That's what I'm doing. He says, imagine if instead of throwing the cymbal at him, that the guy told him, well, you did a good job. And then there comes that line. So he says, imagine if he told him, good job, good set. And then Bird just thought he was good and continued to be at that level. He never would have been the Bird we knew, Charlie Parker. So if Charlie Parker had been told, good job, good set, good job, never would have reached that level and never would have been Bird. It took having that cymbal thrown at him. It took having somebody push him to become who he became, and that's what I was doing. And then that line comes into play where Fletcher says, there are no two words in the English language more harmful than good job. Why? Because you'll never reach the potential that you can reach, is his mentality. You'll never reach that level if somebody's not pushing you. He's hard to disagree with. The way his conviction and the way he set aside the fact that the character believes it, J.K. Simmons believes it. And like I said before, the mark of a great actor is you've got to believe you are who you are. Even if you're a murderer in a film, you have to believe that you're doing, yet that's you, that you believe it. If you don't believe it, I'm not going to believe it as the audience. What I love about this little part is so hard to disagree with Fletcher because J.K. Simmons believes it and Fletcher believes it. And his conviction and how he says it and it's so hard as the audience to disagree with him because I believe him. 100%. I believe him. And it's wonderful. And I think subtextually, again, like I said, throughout the film, subtextually, he's telling Andrew, I'm pushing you for a reason. I believe you can be the next great. I saw something in you. I think you can be. But I think here, in this scene, in the bar scene, is his final subtextual lesson. And basically he's telling Andrew, I can't tell you that you are the next great. You have to tell me. He says, I'm just the instructor. Any old idiot can wave his hand and keep the band in tempo. That's not what I was doing. I was looking for the next great. So he's basically telling Andrew, you were there for a reason. And like I said, subtextually, he's telling Andrew, I can't tell you that you're going to be it. You either have to be it or not. You either have to become Bird or not. And you tell me that. So here's this whole full circle that you're here for a reason, and you have to tell me, you have to become it. You can't be the Andrew that... Already he's not the Andrew Neiman that was in the first 2-minute scene. Already he's not that character. So you see this whole full circle, and then he invites him to play with him at the JVC tournament or whatever. I think that part right after the bar scene and right before the big JVC competition or whatever, that part where Andrew calls his ex Nicole, I get that the movie is only an hour 40 something, but I feel like that whole part just slowed the whole thing down and is so unnecessary. We didn't need that. We totally didn't need that. Please take it out. I find it disrupting to where we're going and what we're doing, that he calls her and she's like, I have a boyfriend, and he's like, oh, okay, and then he goes to the concert. Do we really believe that's the deciding factor of whether he's going to go to this concert or not? No, absolutely not. He's already telling her, I'm going to this concert, which means he's already committed to doing the concert. Okay, so that's unnecessary, in my opinion, completely unnecessary. That call to his ex, it didn't gain anything. It didn't tell me anything. I don't care about it as the audience, and honestly, it literally kills the pacing of the movie. And then we go into the final scene. The end, yeah, it speaks for itself. It's so brilliant. I like that his dad's there, although I don't necessarily need that. He needs that. The character needs that. I think maybe the story to a certain degree needs that, and it's fine. I don't gain any kind of satisfaction from his dad being there and basically being like, oh, good job, and finally validating what he did. He doesn't actually say it, and that's fine. He's in the wings watching. As an audience member, I don't think I gain any satisfaction with it. It's more satisfying what Andrew is doing. When Andrew takes control of his fate, when Andrew starts finally believing he is who he is, like, I am the next great, that's what matters to me in this scene. And it gives me goosebumps when he finally literally takes control of the band. I'll cue you. What do you think you're doing? I'll cue you. He has literally taken control of the band. And it all led to this point where he finally believes he is the next great, and he becomes. And then what is satisfying is not his dad being there. Honestly, it's not his dad being there. What is satisfying is when you finally see it on Fletcher's face. And there are moments. It's not just a one big revelation. There are moments in that end scene when he's playing. There are moments when you see the level of Fletcher. Okay, we're rolling with this. I'll let him do it. Then he starts to believe in him. Okay, now we're getting on it. Then he starts to play with him. Even though, Fletcher is still hard, you can see that. Then he starts to play with him. He slows him down. Then he speeds him up. He starts to play with him. And then, obviously, the film ends. So you finally get, they finally come together in, one, believing that Andrew is the next great, and two, reviving jazz. I think that's what Fletcher's character was striving for, finding somebody, a new somebody that can revive jazz. And he says earlier in the film that it's dying. And I think he believes that if he finds a next great, a young great, that it will revive jazz, and that's what he's done at the end of the film. So I really did like it. If you haven't seen it, hopefully you haven't. I guess there's not a whole lot to give away. I mean, it's not like, it's not like some other things where you give away like who the bad guy is. There are movies like this that if somebody told me, the ending, it wouldn't bother me that much. That's fine. But if you have seen this video and you have not seen the movie, I recommend it. Absolutely go see it. If you can get past the performances are worth it. For at least the performances are worth it. If you don't agree with Fletcher, if you don't like Fletcher, fine, don't like him. But you can't deny that J.K. Simmons was just brilliant in this film. And Miles Teller did a great job. I mean, he does such a great job in this. So anyway, thanks a lot for watching. Hope you like this. Whiplash 2014. Don't know what I'm doing next. I have no idea. I may pick it out of a hat. Thanks for watching, and see you next time.